Good morning, everyone. Hopefully most of you know at this stage that I have a granddaughter who's 6 years old, and she'll proudly tell you that she's 6 years old. And my daughter was chatting to her the other day, and she was trying to describe exactly what it is that Jesus did and talk to us about what Jesus is. And it's a wonderful description. It starts off in the Old Testament and then quickly jumps around, and her titles for God would alternate between Jesus and God, so that God was crucified, and that's how she explained it. But for her, that was important. But she was trying in her own way to describe Jesus. And in our gospel today, we find Jesus continuing to describe himself and his mission to people who are battling to cope with that. And so he uses words like, I am the living bread, and anyone who eats this bread will live forever. Now those concepts, if you'll excuse the pun, must have been quite hard to swallow. It's kind of like saying, can you prove that God exists? And I think most people had difficulty with that one. It's more a case of saying, well, I can point you in the right direction. And the logic must take over, and your faith and your spirituality must take over at that stage. Because if Jesus is having difficulty on his own to describe to the people who were there with him what he was, then it's probably going to be difficult for us. That does not mean that we should lose our faith. Because with Jesus having died and risen since this incident that we see in the gospel, we have a better understanding of the sovereignty of the holiness of Jesus, that he's not just a human being. And that, I think, was their difficulty. They still saw Jesus as a human being who was able to perform miracles, but there were other people running around at the time who were using illusions and mind games and so forth to cure people, inverted commas. So what Jesus was doing was not necessarily something strange to people, but for him to come along and try to say, well, I'm the bread, living bread, and you must eat this bread and you will live forever. And even when you're saying to the apostles, this is my body, take and eat, very difficult concepts for them to understand. But for us, we have further knowledge, and we have access to scriptures and to teachings that give us an opportunity to understand that in a better way. Let's just make sure that we are as fully informed as we can be. You have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again. God bless. Bye-bye.